The tour returns after a week off. The DGPT opens its 2026 event bidding. Waco's missing Laco and a press conference, and not too much more. This week in disc golf. Most of you should know by now, I'm Swiss cheese, and despite the extra time, I still have all those holes in my game. More importantly, though, I'm just one half of the disc golf world. The best and often shortest professional disc golf news YouTube channel in the game. That should be enough for a sub. But if it isn't, how about if I told you it was free and just a click away? It's Friday and you're watching This Week in Disc Golf, where I cover all things disc golf from the past week. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and of course everyone who's donating over on the Patreon. And while I got your attention, if you're attending Waco this weekend or any future event, including Go Throw Stops, and you got some clips of pros throwing that you're proud of, hit up our socials for a chance that your video might be included on a future Disc Golf World Cut. Because even though we may not be there, we know you will be. And that certainly goes for all you pros that are listening out there also. Each and every week, we will highlight the best fan clip right here on This Week in Disc Golf. And as far as the news this week, it plodded along like the pros did through the mud of the first Go Throw event. And if you're interested how that went, make sure to check out Jefferson's Monday recap. But when there's so little news, other content creators are grasping at straws like every Double Dare contestant searching for that flag between giant pancakes. It's absolutely no different here also. The only real interesting note was the DGPT opening their 2026 and beyond event bidding process. After a 2025 season that we are still at the start of, but missing previous mainstays in DDO and Jonesboro Open, this process becomes more interesting than the years prior. And that's not even including possible further expansion of tour stops over in Europe. Either way, the consumers of the product are not only vocal about what stops should and shouldn't remain on tour, but they also crave new stops, often with a regional bias. However, when you examine the baseline requirements by the DGPT, the availability of courses shrinks quickly, because it's more than just a championship-level course or strong cell network that most of the fans expect for a DGPT event. Because no one wants a repeat of We Don't Talk About Bruno that was the Eagle Crossing event. There's also the prospect stop needing the proper infrastructure in place to allow not only up to 3,000 spectators, but the cars, vans, food trucks, and vendors that all come with it. And you can't forget the homes of 100 pros on top of that. But it doesn't stop there. To be considered, you also have to have the established community and the ability to recruit 150 volunteers to work over the 3-day event. And the largest hurdle, the capacity to deliver up to 35 to 80 grand to the purse. And now we kind of understand how Nate Heinold has been able to grow his status to a professional TD. Because with requirements like this, it becomes more and more evident that you need the attachment of an established tournament director to not only assist in the preparation of the bid, the attraction of the sponsorship dollars, and also just to be accepted. But now more towards the future schedule, which certainly will be dictated by Elite Series newbies to the Tour and Kansas City Wide Open and Cascade Challenge, as the attendance, dollars, and at-home consumers' perception of those stops will determine their standing for future elite event status. Now add Jonesboro anticipated second course that is in development, and even with the concerns surrounding Champions Landing, both of these stops have established records of not only holding multiple events, but some of the largest also, with some possible up-and-coming and buzzworthy stops, with Failure Lake being rumored for a future Champions Cup or another future stop. Still very much in development, but also pushed by the DGN, you have Cactus Rock. And who knows, DGPT may shrink its tour stops once again like they did this year, making the competition that much more interesting or cutthroat. We are still months away from announcements, but this process is that much more intriguing. The second stop of the season, a birdie fest affectionately called Wacky Waco, kicks off with their Friday live Joe Mez coverage. A nice addition to further exposure the live broadcast to some of the never DGNers, or post-coverage lovers out there. But missing is last year's Laco course, as all 3 days will be held at the Beast. Some may view that as an improvement, but one thing that isn't to me is the missing press conference, as this is the first event without one. Many of you may not have had the stomach for it, but just call me a nerd now, because I, for one, will surely miss it. If not for Jay's edit alone, but also for all the nuggets that can be pulled from it that often helps tell the story of the course and tournament before it kicks off. I know firsthand the difficulty of lining up and getting pros to attend, and the manpower that it takes. That, and I don't need to be reminded of me being vocal of the formula that has been too rigidly followed at times. But having the TDs at nearly every press conference discussing the changes and the reason behind them was crucial and certainly rarely discussed during the actual coverage. I know there's about 30 different pro course previews now, as they've become about as popular as a Vessi sponsorship. But not represented in those are the TDs or volunteers that put in all that course work. That's now lost, as well as some of the possible storylines, which is not only what continues to be missing at nearly every event, but crucial to getting the buy-in from fans and added excitement. I want to hear why they removed hole 16 and reverted back to the old layout. The work of the teams and getting the course ready and the fans in attendance. And you can't forget the slices of fried gold that have come about also. Whether it's Owen dropping her beer line, Isaac candidly discussing what he's looking for in a manufacturer prior to the offseason, Kristen Lott's self-proclamation of her love of Kung Fu Panda, Kat Murch's WWE get-up, or Brian and Nate's dives into the mental aspect of the game either. Did it have its issues? Yes, mostly it being carried as a live event instead of an edited one. And then there was also the lack of diversity in questions and those being interviewed week to week. But the potential was always there and most certainly ripe for the picking. It just rarely happened. Can the coverage and the hosts behind that pick all that has been lost from there being no press conference? I'm not too sure, but I for one feel it needs to. Now I just might be regretting asking this, but what are your guys' thoughts on the missing press conference? I want to hear them in the comments below. Now for some quick hitters. James Proctor is getting some more testing on his elbow, which is preventing him from throwing in Texas. But it didn't stop him from entering a local C tier where he'll be throwing lefty.
All right, quick arm update. I have an MRI scheduled for Sunday. I've had an X-ray and an ultrasound. Both have showed a lot of swelling, but they can't see what's causing the swelling. I do have more range of motion, but I am out, obviously not going to Texas. Hopefully I'll be back for Music City. But in the meantime, I signed up for a one-day C tier at my local course, and I'm gonna be playing lefty. So I I have about a week to prepare. So far the 10-foot putts are falling and I can get it like 250 feet, but we'll see how much I can improve in the next 6 days.
Owen Scoggins becomes the third FPO and first FPO player over 40 to reach a rating of 990, an incredible achievement. And while we're on the FPO, some ladies got pedicures, Kristen dabbles in photography, and Ella Hansen became that much cooler, revealing her volunteering at the Hope Factory. That's only an organization building tiny homes for the homeless. That's sick. Bradley Williams, Albert Tom, and Kelvin Heimberg grabbed some drinks and some marble race betting, while Parker Welk grabbed some barbecue. Mason Ford is in Texas, so he's out fishing, while Vino Makala and Yuna Hennanen hit the water in their own way. Luke Taylor and Cole Redallen get in some Wii golf in the RV. Gavin Rathbun's Whatnot is must-watch television. Former Oregon football standout DeAnthony Thomas grabbed a PDGA number. And how about Jefferson getting a shout-out from Simon?
I think shout out Disc Golf World on this one, right? You got to. He threw like one of the best aces I've ever seen here in a practice round. It was nasty.
Who did that?
Jefferson from Disc Golf World.
Cool.
Unbelievable.
Guys, that wraps up this week in disc golf. If you've enjoyed and not subscribed, make sure to do so. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, comment, and share.
Oh, let's go, dude!
That's crazy.
That's
That's
wild,
actually
bro.
crazy.
Fuck yeah!
That's actually